This week on Midpoint.
Don't worry about girls because Kiana's coming. That'd be easier. I'd have a lot less stress.
Her name is Kiana.
Maybe I would have been so stressed then, and I don't know. Like that kind of has to play out naturally. I'm just being silly with that one. Yeah, I think like one thing I would tell myself is don't take yourself too seriously. I think it's important to be serious in moments. Like
Sure.
when I'm praying for someone, I don't need to joke around. But don't take yourself too seriously. Don't sweat like the things that people like in leadership above you. Like maybe even a boss might be trying to pressure you into. Like listen to God and prayerfully.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Midpoint. I am Pastor Julie. I'm the young adult pastor here, and I'm here with Pastor Ben. Assistant pastor?
Associate.
I always get those confused.
It doesn't matter at all to me.
Associate.
You can just call me Ben.
Yeah, you could just call me Julie. But welcome back. This is the first intro I've done, so sorry. But I wanted to kind of interview Ben today about ministry and how to kind of get into it. So if you're listening and you feel like God is calling you to something more, whether that is actual vocational ministry, like ministry as a job, like a pastor, or if you just want to be more involved in your church, or you want to be in leadership, or whatever it looks like, if you feel called to like minister with someone specific, like young women or prison ministry, whatever it looks like.
Yeah.
What do you do? You feel the call, and then what do you do now?
Yeah.
And I wanted to pick your brain about it.
Yeah.
Because you've been in ministry for how many years now?
This makes me sound so old, but I think it's 15 years now.
Which is
Quite a bit of time, actually. Like, I still think of myself as young, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not that young.
It's like not that much less than half of your life.
It's getting close to half my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like even some of them, like ministry stuff, like serving, I did before I was like professionally or paid to be in ministry.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So on that note,
Yep.
what do you define ministry as?
Oh man. Yeah, like when I think technical ministry is like vocational, like, and I think like that wording makes sense to me, is vocational in the sense of like being in ministry and being someone that ministers isn't because it's my job.
Yeah.
I like to think that if I hadn't felt like a specific calling to professional vocational ministry, that my vocation would still be doing some semblance of the stuff I love doing. Like maybe I'd like be able to freely fix things around the building more. I'm not that good. You should see my hilarious mower repair.
You do fix
it
things,
was pretty
though.
janky. Yeah. But yeah, just like ministry is having a call or a desire or something in your heart from God, and then going forward with it to an extent. Kind of that's what vocation is like hearing from him and doing it. You'll probably hear me say that in like 7 different ways throughout this conversation. But really that's what it is to me, is like listening to God and trying as best I can. I'm not Jesus, but trying as best I can to do that. Like, oh, I only see what I saw the Father doing and I do it. Like the very bad paraphrase there, but like, that's what he says. He's like, oh, God told me to do this and I do it. I see him over here, and not that God's not with these people, but that's not where he wants me to go. And it's kind of like directional in that sense. Not that someone isn't going to minister in this place, but this is the direction. I don't know why this and that. But this is the direction that I feel like God is pulling me in.
Yeah.
So where God is pulling you or pushing you, or hopefully sometimes we willingly frolic and skip into.
No, I love that because it's very approachable. And sometimes when we talk about ministry, we have, especially in the Western church, has made ministry such a like crazy like pinnacle title. That is like wild. And so I love the description of just like Jesus is like asking you to go this way and you just go this way. And that's ministry. So give us like a little overview timeline of what your ministry has looked like, even before it was a job, if you want.
Yeah, so I think my early I won't go while I was in high school. Like my whole life, like there was some ministry elements, some of it forcibly because my parents were so involved in church. And like my dad would always be doing maintenance and my mom would help with like a bunch of things. So like being around the church a lot. But even after high school, I worked at a camp. No, that wasn't a ministry. It was a job. And I got to hang out with my friends. So that was cool. Yeah, it was a pretty sweet gig. We got our own cottage too, which is like crazy. Yeah. I guess we were under 18. I don't know the plan to protect problems with that.
That would be crazy.
I guess it was all the same gender and no one older than 18 was in our cabin. So I don't know. But I counseled at camps some. I helped with youth group throughout university. I was studying to be in ministry, so I thought I should be doing it to some extent. And one thing I really regret actually about my time in school was I was quite connected with my church back home and would go to Ottawa probably once a month or a little less when I went to school in Toronto. But I didn't get connected with the local church there. And that's actually like one of my bigger regrets of my university time was not being more connected, even though it was only for a season. Just investing in a community and locally. And I also like was on student council. So that's like not ministry, but like we had like ministry elements of our practice. But then I'll just go the short rip here.
Yeah.
In my 4th year of university, I was a youth pastor. And I was driving back and forth from Ottawa and Toronto all the time. Terrible. When you're trying to study, worst GPA I had. Shocking. And then, but then I got a full-time job after that doing youth, and we had junior youth, senior youth, and I led some young adults ministry as well. Cool. And all of those were weekly. And now 3 nights a week is a lot. This was every single week was 3 nights minimum, plus any extra events. So it was kind of tough. In hindsight. But I was young and foolish and had nothing else to do and lived with my parents again. So
a time to
yep. Got a motorcycle, living the dream. But then I thought I felt called to church planning and did an assessment. They told me not right now, but maybe eventually. Now it's probably not my thing as much. Which, their guidance was good that time, I think. And I was kind of bummed though. I was like, no, I want it. But I made a connection with a pastor that was a pastor at the church I grew up at, which is the one I worked at later. And he was a pastor at a smaller church. And so they said, you need more experience. So then I started looking around and I had an almost connection with someone else and then ended up working with him for a little over 2 years, which was great. He was such a great inspiration. His name was Ian. He was such a great inspiration for like connecting with the Holy Spirit and really listening to God more intentionally. So that's like where some of my like, we'll use the lowercase c or capital C charismatic stuff. I started to like really experience more and be able to explore like sharing words of knowledge and listening to God intentionally and praying. So that was really cool. And it was like an internship. Well, I got paid very little, so it was like very internship like. And I started seminary actually when I was the youth pastor for my MDiv. But then I ended up in South Dakota. Just kept following Jesus. Just said, God, what do you want me to do? And I said, I don't want to live in America. He said, you're going to live in America. And I said, all right, God, you told me, not me.
Yep.
And normally that's a good way of ministry. If we're like, no, I think it's a disservice for us to think everything I don't want to do, God's going to tell me to do. It's like, I think that you can get a little crazy with some of those thoughts is like, I know God's going to make me do this because I don't want to. It's like, maybe there's a balance. Like there's a lot of things that we get to do for serving God that are just things I want to do anyway.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Which is a
So then I moved to South Dakota. I was a college pastor there, specifically only for college students. And it was a great time. That's where I met Kiana too. We were friends or connected. She was on the leadership team there while she was doing her master's. And Then we started dating, so that was, highlight. And the ministry was very good too. And yeah, Kiana's
A little higher on the
pretty
list.
important to me,
Yeah.
specifically. But it was really good, and got to experience like a really quite a large church, and so that was interesting. And at one point, I tore up a sheet that I had in a journal somewhere that said, "I only want to pastor 70 people, because then I'll know everyone." And then God's like, "Actually, you're just gonna work where I tell you to work." And I said, "Oh, okay, God." And I said to myself, "If it's 7,000 or 7, I don't care." And that's kind of how I like to approach ministry.
Yeah.
Then for an interim time, I wasn't in pastoral ministry, but I had a ministry type role at a nonprofit. It was called CHUM, which stood for Churches United in Ministry. And it was specifically started as a food bank in the community in Duluth, Minnesota, but also had supported housing and a homeless shelter. And I think it started as a food bank. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, so that was cool, and getting connected with other churches and all sorts of different beliefs within the Christian umbrella. But then there was also like a couple other spiritual communities that were connected with us, because even though it was called Churches United Ministry, it kind of was just known as CHUM. And eventually, like, there was other institutions that were also involved in just like serving in the community, and got to see some really cool stuff there. And ended up doing a lot of physical helping too during COVID, because we needed it. So yeah, it was a great experience. And then Kiana got her, my people have heard this story because it's now we're arriving in Halifax. But Kiana was awarded a fellowship, beat out tons of people. I like to say hundreds. I don't actually know how many. And she was awarded her fellowship to study her PhD here. And the day she got awarded it, Paul had posted the Evensong and Young Adult job on Facebook, which I don't think he even touches Facebook. And someone who was in our wedding party, who was in a seminary class with him, messaged it to me that day. So, God's pretty cool sometimes.
Yeah.
And he was already like as soon as Kiana mentioned Halifax, the first time, before I knew about faith and any of that, like Faith City Church, not my faith with Jesus, something just like, it was just like a little bit of a heart eruption. Like not butterflies, like when you like someone.
Yeah.
But like this, just like a spark. I don't know. I'm talking about it like you like someone. It was different. But like something just felt right, like warm almost. The first time she mentioned maybe applying for it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's how I ended up here. So that's a little bit. I know it's a little long, but
no, it's cool to see like the span of like the different things that you did, but also where you did them, and like the types of communities that you've been in.
Yeah.
For it's very like diverse in a very
cool
way.
Yeah.
And there was like so many little things while you were talking about it that I was like, oh yeah, that links to like what you're doing here now, and like, oh, that also links to what you're doing here now, and oh, that also. So yeah, cool.
The Lord hath prepared me.
Yeah, cool Jesus stuff. Okay, I want to rewind a little bit and pick your brain. In a recent message that you preached here, you talked about the first few months of you being in like actual job ministry, like kind of being really awful.
Treacherous. Yeah.
Treacherous.
Heart treacherous.
So again, this whole conversation is to help you at home if you're feeling called to anything, whether it's like job ministry or not, to pursue it and feel prepared to pursue it. So in those first few months,
or at least willing.
Yeah.
If not prepared.
Well, yeah, we'll get there too. The first few months, treacherous.
Yes.
Why do you think they were treacherous, and what made you not quit ministry?
My mom and dad were like, Jesus is the real answer to Sunday school. But like my mom and dad supporting me and like helping me talk through like why it was a good idea and like why I was doing it, and how like my back and forth from Toronto and Ottawa wasn't gonna last forever, and like they were so foundational. Like both like for my life, they're my mom and dad, but also like for helping my ministry be able to like flourish. They were so supportive and caring, and just like Thanks, Dan and Denise.
Thanks, Dan and
but so yeah, and I like, I'm hopefully not borrowing from future questions. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing I'd encourage you. Like it could be something as easy as like you feel like God's been like telling you to ask about helping to lead at Alpha, or maybe it's something like, oh, you have this like Bible study idea, but you don't know where to start, and you're like a little scared to even ask because then you'll get asked to do it. Like having supportive people around you, it is so important for pressing into ministry, whatever that might be. And if God puts it on your heart and you say yes, like I really believe that's the honoring thing to do. I've seen things fail that I felt like God put on my heart. And when I look back on ministry regrets or opportunities I've missed out on or things I would do differently, none of them are ones where I felt distinctly God told me to do something, even if they didn't go great. Right. Yeah. Because I think like listening to God, doing it, trying it out and being like, and learning from it, that's so important.
Yeah. Hugely important.
Now, a lot of the time when those things start to stack up, you start to see things. It sometimes comes a little more latently. Like I want things now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just get around supportive people and like check in. I know this is like maybe for later in the podcast, but check in with people here at the church. Like ask Pastor Julie or myself or any of the pastors or any of the people who are on leadership or any of the people you see with a name tag, be like, hey, like I'm looking to get involved in this, and they'll steer you in the right direction, and we'll be more than happy to help. Like that's really like our job is really to help facilitate other people more often than not to be empowered to go out and share the gospel, because I can only do so much.
Yeah.
Julie can only do so much. Yeah. And we only hit certain target groups sometimes, or personality styles, or like a whole bunch of things. So that's why like ministry really is for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And among other things.
Yeah.
Other reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So people my age, but also people of all ages, thinking of doing ministry or church leadership or whatever, I know I have a tendency, and a lot of people I've talked to have a tendency to feel like I have to be equipped to a certain level to begin something.
Yeah.
So have you had that struggle in the past with ministry? And then if so, what was the tipping point where you were like, okay, I need to not be worried about preparing and just start doing it?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. Definitely still sometimes feel fraudulent. So, full transparency.
Yeah.
But like some of it is like being well prepared to do something. Like if I was to lead a Bible study, I want to be prepared. The times I haven't been prepared oftentimes aren't as fruitful. Now, some things come up sometimes and God just does stuff, and that's really cool. But, so preparing is important, but also the way you get better at preparing is through doing a lot of the time, and like understanding like, oh, next time I would buy this many snacks. I know snacks shouldn't matter, but they do. No, they should matter. And like, it can be other things. Like it's just the more that you get reps in, the more that you notice, like I'm still nervous sometimes to speak on Sunday, but like I was way more nervous when I first started. Like even now compared to when you started, you're a lot less nervous, right?
Yeah. Those first few times, shaking in my boots.
Yeah.
So, and now I'm like, tremoring in my boots.
Yeah.
Like totally freaked out. So yeah, the reps help.
And like part of all of this is like, if ministry is skipping or frolicking or getting pushed or pulling towards God and saying yes to it, then the reality is like, you can also, if he's telling you to do something, you say, okay, God, but you're in control, because that's how this works. And so I rest a lot on that too, is like, oh, I'm not worried about this because like I felt like God led us into this position or led us towards this thing or brought us here. And so he's going to work. And it's not, God's going to work, and it's not always going to look like what I picture it in my ideal in my head. But part of all of the like preparing part is like when you go do, you just say, okay, God, you told me to lead this Bible study and I don't feel like I know the Bible that well, but I really like reading the Bible and I like asking questions. And the reality is you can go lead a Bible study like that for sure. Yep. I say I don't know so often. It's ridiculous. And it feels great because I'm like, I don't know. I'll look that up. And then I'm going to read 2 commentaries where these people have studied their whole lives and they have 2 different opinions. So I feel a lot better.
Yeah. I think this links back to your point of having supportive people around you and having conversations, because you can keep me accountable to this, you and viewer, that if somebody did come to me and was like, I want to lead a small group, but I'm not really sure if I feel prepared to, I wouldn't just shove them into doing it right away. No, it's like, let's have some conversations. Yeah. That's part of having a support system of like, I don't know if I'm prepared, but you sit down and have a conversation with Pastor Ben and he's like, you're allowed to say, I don't know in a small group. And all of a sudden you feel way more prepared to start one.
Yeah.
So I think there's like so much wisdom in that. Next question. Thinking back to earlier days in ministry.
Yep.
If you could give a younger version of yourself, if you could get coffee with him and give him either some advice or ask him some questions to like think about, what would you ask him?
Oh, some questions, advice, questions, think about.
Yeah.
Don't worry about girls because Kiana's coming. That'd be easier. I'd have a lot less stress.
Her name is Kiana.
Maybe I would have been so stressed then, and then I don't know. Like that kind of has to play on naturally. I'm just being silly with that one. Yeah, I think like one thing I'd tell myself is don't take yourself too seriously. No, I think it's important to be serious in moments. Like when I'm praying for someone, I don't need to joke around.
Yeah.
Now sometimes I'll say like something a little quirky or funny or ask a question in prayer and people find that funny, but like I'm just literally want to like hear God more together. But don't take yourself too seriously. Don't sweat like the things that people like in leadership above you. Like maybe even a boss might be trying to pressure you into, like listen to God and prayerfully. Don't be so reactive. I'm still working on it. And maybe think a little bit more before you speak. Cause I am still not good at that, but I've gotten a lot better. And probably would save myself some heartache. There's probably other things too. Like, yeah. So switching gears to advice for others. I'm sure there's some wisdom in there for the advice for yourself. The other I'm sure I have other ones too. I was silly boy.
You've made it far. You learned. I think that's probably more
silly,
important.
slightly older boy now.
What are some of the traits that you see that you have seen in leaders? Because again, through your experience, you've worked a lot with like student leaders and small group leaders and things like that. What are some key traits in them that you see? One, make them effective leaders, but also healthy leaders. Help them become healthy.
Good question. I think like outside of doing the stuff we talked about the whole time, like listening, the people who are intentional about their relationship with God and try to listen to him have been great leaders.
Yeah.
Now, they haven't always had great production results as far as like the biggest small groups or like they like preached in front of like everyone or like whatever. Like I think we get caught up. I love numbers, don't get me wrong, but like we get caught up in like metric elements. But the people I know who were intentional and listened to God made real connections with people that had discipleship impacts going forward.
Right.
And that can look a whole host of ways, but people that are willing, humble, and intentional with people and God, like love God, love others. Like I know this sounds like the most nuts and bolts simple thing, but the people who do that, like if people get too caught up in like, oh, there's pressure on me because I'm a leader, like I have to do this and this, like I think it's important for leaders to hold themselves to a high standard for sure. But I think it's also super unhealthy for them to be in a stressful standard to the point of like, that's not something we're requiring. Say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Say like, oh, I'm still exploring that part of my faith. Oh, like, guess what? I'm not very good at reading the Bible sometimes. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, maybe like what I'm getting at here is like people who are authentic and genuine,
Yeah.
humble and willing.
Yeah.
Those are kind of I'm sure there's other elements and there's other things where people would say like, oh, and they're not all like room commanders.
Right.
You can only have so many room commanders before they all want to cut each other's head off. I don't think that's a saying. Also, I'm not sorry for the violence. But there's just like being willing to kind of do whatever. That's been a lot of people who I highly respect or saw really productive in discipleship, in ministry. So
There's like, it sounds like there's a level of transparency, maybe is a
yeah
for it when someone has a humble and willing heart, that they're not pretending to be like kind of what we said at the beginning of that imagery of someone in ministry that the Western Church has kind of built up.
Yes.
They're not caught up in that. They're really just trying to love people.
Yep.
That's it.
I know it's a simple formula. It sounds boring and lame.
Yeah.
But it's not lame. It's not boring, but we say it so often that it sounds like you're like, oh, no,
Yeah.
duh. But actually putting into practice, like doing those things is hard.
Yeah.
Being willing when God calls you is sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's a frolic. Other times, it's like I'm digging my heels, but I know this is the right thing to do. So I'm kind of like one heel's dug and the other one's like a little bit pushing me forward. I don't know. Peg-legging my way through.
Mental picture.
So yeah, I don't know. I hope that answers.
Yeah. And kind of where I want to land is someone listening to this, they're like, maybe taking little mental notes.
Yep.
Maybe they feel called to something specific, but they're not sure when that is gonna happen.
Oh,
How do you prepare when you feel called to something, but you're not sure when it's actually gonna come?
Oh, that is a great question. And I really think like I have an answer, but it's such a good question, Julie. I think like if like I don't know an example, but if there's something specific someone feels called to and they know the timing's like not now. I think the real answer is like serve God where you're at as you wait for the right timing. And put yourself maybe like it feels like, oh, I don't know the timing. Start exploring it now. Even if that's just joining a small group that fits in that topic. Or if it's like asking a pastor if they'll mentor you because you're like maybe a little interested in being a pastor or in some like ministry adjacent area. Meet with them a few times. Like maybe it's something that God's put on your heart that isn't for today, but you can set yourself up to be more like prepared in the sense of like skills wise. Because I think when God calls us, he also gave us brains and abilities. And if he's like, oh, I have this thing for you later, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years. But like, if it's a specific thing, you're like, oh, I should probably read a book a couple times a year on that topic. And maybe put myself in a scenario like, whether it's missions or whether it's like a specific area of ministry you feel for in the city, like volunteer somewhere that serves that, like that area, or like get connected, like pray about it. I know it sounds like the easy answer, but like pray about it and have the people around you pray for you. Because sometimes like, I don't want to say like unlocking timing. Like, I don't know how that works exactly. And when really like, but be ready and prepare yourself as you ready yourself. Cause what I think happens for a lot of people is they have this calling for something that they think is an event or a move somewhere.
Right.
And what it ends up being is the preparation becomes
the thing.
Becomes like your practice to get to that actually is that. And it can totally develop or flourish into that. And maybe it's a ministry our church doesn't have. And you're like, hey, I'd like to try this out here and read a book with a group or do this thing. And then eventually you're like, oh, I'm actually just doing the thing God called me to already naturally because I was exploring it. So I think a lot of the time we think if God puts like this lightning bolt thing in our heart where it's like this big neon sign in front of us and we're like, oh, I'm supposed to do blank kind of ministry. I'm supposed to like serve people experiencing homelessness. I'm supposed to like help serve children that can't afford sports, like whatever. I'm just making things up. And it's like, but I'm waiting until God puts the right thing in my place. God, like the same way the neon sign fell in my lap, please make everything fall into place. And he's like, hey, gave you the ability to get out there and try it. And the reality is you might start kind of already fulfilling that calling while you think you're just practicing it.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind
of how I was gonna say, is that kind of how you got in ministry in general?
Kind of, because I always, and I still hold to this, that like you kind of just have to hold things with an open palm, and things will come and go. Like God will bring things, and like sometimes it is like something dropping in your hand almost. But I've always tried to be very intentional about not like grabbing on and holding on too tightly to things and just kind of letting them go. But that sentiment does not equal idleness. Like that's not, you don't do anything during that time. You still hold things openly and like allow things to come to you. This is sounding a little woo woo, but I'm talking like Holy Spirit bringing it to you. You know?
No, I know.
But
Holy Spirit's a little woo woo.
Yeah, like, he is. But yeah, it really was that of like, I think it was at some point in Bible college, I felt like God had said that I would end up doing young adult women ministry, which was really random. And I remember writing it in a journal somewhere. And then like,
you were already doing it before you worked here.
Well, that's the thing. It's I was like, well, I'm not in ministry and I'm not pastoring and there's no churches here I feel like I could work for. So I'm just going to go to my church and like maybe have a small group. But then the small group was the young adult women ministry. And of course it's like grown since then, but like.
And the thing is like most things that God calls us to aren't going to be like Julie and I are pastors. We'll interview someone who's not a pastor about this. But like, it can be like, it probably isn't going to be most people's job that something gets put on your heart. It's just going to be like a way of serving and connecting people with Jesus. And I like, oh man, I could start crying thinking about it. If everyone just started trying things that they felt like, I call them percentages. Like if you're like, oh, I'm 64% sure this is like God putting this on my heart. And it means I'm going to go and serve meals once a week at night at this place that serves meals to people in this position or whatever it is. Like if we all just tested those out, the worst thing that could happen is you were like the 36% and you were wrong that it wasn't God putting on your heart, but really you did a good and godly thing in the community and still brought the light of Jesus. So like, maybe you did hear Jesus. It's like a fun, like...
There's not a whole lot of net loss.
There's not net loss.
There's always room for more ministry. There's always room for...
serving,
like...
And I think, like, part of... I've mentioned a lot of, like, exterior things. Like, some of these could be something as simple as, like, God's really putting it on my heart to, like, text my friend once a month that I haven't connected with in a while and ask them if there's anything I can pray. Or call them. Like, I know we're allergic to calling on the phone. I love talking on the phone still.
Makes sense. I don't.
Most of our staff, I don't think does. I would guess, well, I know Pastor Bill does, and I just a hunch Pastor Taylor does.
Most likely.
And then I believe Pastor Sandra does as well. So maybe 50-50. But it could be simple things. Like we've talked about like big, like neon signs. This could be like little drops that look like some writing in our latte. That are just like little things that God's calling us to that are also ministry.
Yeah.
We think of ministry as like, oh, I gotta start this whole like initiative, and eventually it'll be a conference, and it'll be like, but like really like someone's whole calling in their life, and this would be very purposeful and meaningful impact, would be like, hey, there's like 4 people that I really feel like for the next 10 years, I'm going to be really intentional about seeding the love of Jesus into. Maybe a couple of them are Christians, a couple of them aren't. And like, I think it's easy to talk about like the big things, which we kind of have been around that a lot for this conversation because it sounds fun and it's like God putting things on our heart. But the real heart of ministry, if it's just like doing what we feel like God's leading us into and where we're supposed to go, is that it often comes in those very small like connections that might already be around us. Like we have a tenderness for someone that is like beyond like the normal, like, oh, I love this person. It's like, oh, God's like doing something with that, and like lean into it. So it can be very simple and humble. And I think the biggest regret I would ever have in my life would be consistently not listening to the Lord in those things. And I think that regret could come for people pursuing the big because they thought that was the right way to do ministry instead of like the way God's leading them. And sometimes that's really small things and small connections.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be all things. Like, encourage everyone to pray about this. If God's leading you towards someone, or a group or something, or maybe it's like, you're like, I'm going to learn how to knit so I can make a scarf twice a year for, like little kids coming out of the IWK. I don't know. That sounds adorable. So, but like it can be something that small.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. Any last thoughts?
Oh no, I feel like I just talked a lot this time. But yeah, I like ministry. It's gonna be there. It's gonna be there. It's there whenever we say yes. I think if you're like, I don't even know where to start, it's like a good place to start is like connecting with a few people and asking them to pray for you. A good way to start is like, if you already have some connections with people that know Jesus, like ask them if they want to meet, like even if it's once a quarter, we're talking 4 times a year here, and be like, hey, let's read each book of the each gospel. And once a quarter, we'll meet up and share our notes on it for an hour over coffee. Yeah. Like we don't, we're not rocket science here all the time. Yeah. Like that's ministry. Mm-hmm. That's discipleship. Yeah. And I think the more that we can orient our minds that it's just like listening to Jesus and doing it, whether it's big or small. Now, some of you might have huge things on your heart, and that's a lot scarier sometimes. Yeah. But sometimes it's like easy because it's so far away, maybe. So I don't really know the answer to this. We're going to get ethereal here on the conversation or a little convoluted, certainly tangential as I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, if you are listening and you feel called to something, we're going to call it ministry. But you feel like God is calling you to something. I feel like a good takeaway for today is to talk to one person about it. Pray about it and talk to one person about it.
Great takeaway.
Yeah, because then you can have someone praying with you about it. And I feel like those inklings of maybe God is asking you to do something get a lot less scary when there's one other person who knows about it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And sometimes when we share with someone, like maybe we have a like semblance of an idea and they can help it form. Yeah. Or maybe they're like, oh, what if this, you made me think of this, and something extra sparks in you. So it's like, if we're all connected and we're one as like Jesus is one with God in heaven, then like there's a connection that we have with one another. Listen to the Holy Spirit. So sometimes that can actually be the real like spark moment of it, is sharing it. So share it with someone. Grow about it. And go and get it. You said earlier, Julie said, we're going to call it ministry. That feels like a good title for this one.
Call it ministry.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it is. It is. It all is.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. Love you guys. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you next time.